Good afternoon, Israel Briefers, and welcome again to the Israel Brief, where we take a look at those top stories making headlines in Israel. We do it every Monday to Thursday, and of course, I love that we are a community from all around the world, from Melbourne in Australia, right up to Stockholm in Sweden, and everywhere in between. I have to say that yesterday was incredible. A very moving day out with Canadian Hadar welcoming a delegation to Israel for the first time since the 7th of October. Very, very emotional to go down south to visit the places that were the scenes of such carnage and atrocity on the 7th, but also to hear from members of the community down south how they are navigating this time 2 years later. I was absolutely blown away to meet a Israel briefer at Tacoma, where I filmed yesterday at the site of the cars, and more about that later because we do have an audience question related to the cars that I showed you yesterday. Just a reminder that on Thursday I bring you your choices of mensch and moron of the week, or plural. It's all up to you and who you nominate. And of course, I take your questions every single day. And you can send those questions to me either via Facebook or via our social media. And as always, the Israel Brief is brought to you in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land. Now it is day 767, and we have 4 hostages whose remains still are held captive in Gaza. We want them home now for a dignified burial. That is what they deserve. 3 Israelis, 1 Thai national, who we really consider our brother, and we want to bring him and the other 3 home now. So let's take a look at the top stories. And earlier today, Israel laid Hadar Goldin, whose remains were returned just 2 days ago, to the holy soil in Israel to be laid in eternal rest. Now, yesterday I brought you a quick update, but I just want to speak a little bit about the magnitude of this. Hadar fell in combat on the 1st of August 2014. He was killed by Hamas during a humanitarian ceasefire during Operation Protective Edge, along with Oron Shaul. 2 other IDF soldiers were killed, but Hamas grabbed the bodies of Oron and Hadar and took them captive. Oron was recovered by the IDF just before the ceasefire earlier this year, but Hadar we have waited for about 4,200 days to lay him to rest. His parents put up an incredible fight, along with his siblings, along with his former fiancée, his friends, and everyone around Israel and around the world who fought so hard to ensure that Hadar came home to eternal rest. I don't think that there was an inch of this globe, or a dignitary, friendly and unfriendly, an NGO, a global institution, that the Goldins did not meet, did not speak to, did not implore to work to ensure that Hadar came home. And it's extremely emotional for us here in Israel to be able to lay this hero of Israel, this son of Zion, to rest in the soil that he loved and that he paid the ultimate sacrifice for. In his eulogy, the Ramatkal, the IDF Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, said that the circle of Operation Protective Edge, the circle is now closed. For Israel, we go back to the biblical tenets when Jacob's bones were brought to Israel for eternal rest. this transcends all these millennia later to bring our brothers and sisters home. Hadar's twin brother, Tsur, spoke. You could hear his voice cracking. You could see the tears in his eulogy, saying that Hamas sought to divide Israeli society. Our standing together is the ultimate victory. Hadar's father, Professor Simcha Goldin, eulogized his son, asking people to remember his radiant smile. If you've seen pictures of Hadar, you'll see he's got this incredible smile that just lights up his face, saying that, you know, Hadar had a special way of connecting to, of touching people, and, you know, he never cursed. He implored his soldiers not to curse, and he said, you know, be more Hadar, speak more like Hadar. His incredible mother, Leah Goldin, also eulogizing him through her tears, said, you know, she knew how much he loved her and that she will love him forever. And she said, we've waited 11 years for you to come home. Extremely moving was a song sung by Idan Zamedi. Sorry, I've got a little bit of exhaustion from yesterday. You will know Idan as one of the stars of Fauda. He's also a very popular actor and singer here in Israel. He sang a song called Nigma, or Finished. Beautiful song, very moving. And in a fitting end to this cycle, the IDF dismantled the tunnel that Hadar was attacked from. They dismantled that tunnel a few hours after Hadar was laid to eternal rest. Hadar, may your memory be eternally blessed, and to the Goldin family, we hold you in our love, in our prayers, and in our eternal support. Israel has opened up an embassy in the capital of Estonia, in Tallinn. The Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar visited the country, where he helped open the embassy. He affixed a mezuzah. If you've been to a Jewish home, you will see on the entrances, on the doors of the home and on all the rooms, a little Torah scroll affixed in a holder on the side of the door. That is a mezuzah. It contains holy words, the words of the Shema, and the foreign minister put that on the door. He also met with his Estonian counterpart, and from there he flew to Riga in Latvia. So, you know, for all those saying that Israel is isolated diplomatically and internationally, think again. You know, the media tends to focus on the loudest voices, the voices of Ireland and Norway and Spain, but Israel is building and increasing relations with other countries, because guess what? This world is not so small. There are many, many countries who want to do business with Israel, who want to cooperate with Israel. And that takes me to our next story. President Herzog is in Africa. The president was welcomed with full military honors in Zambia yesterday. He was hosted by President Hichilema. The president said that, you know, Africa is the future. Israel views Africa with great importance. You know, we want to increase cooperation in trade, in technology, in agriculture, in science, in a number of different fields. And we also want to help with challenges of water and food security. The president paid tribute to Zambia, saying that it is the leader in Africa as far as these issues are concerned. And now the president has touched down in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where he has been welcomed by Congolese President Tshisekedi. And we will follow the president's journey through the DRC before he returns to Israel later this week. The Houthis, yeah, remember them. The Houthis have announced in a letter written to Hamas that somehow the Associated Press got a hold of, that they have stopped attacking Israel. They have said that they will be watching, and in quote unquote in their language they said, if the enemy, being Israel, resumes attacks on Gaza, they will resume attacks, they say, deep into the Zionist entity, whatever that means. I call it the State of Israel. And on shipping in the Arabian and Red Sea, they will resume attacks on ships, and they will also resume their ban. So yeah, the Houthis, much like an annoying rash, have not entirely gone away. So let's get to our audience question. It comes from Gabriella in Berlin, who says, why were the cars in your video yesterday taken to that spot? Okay, so if you didn't see yesterday's edition of the Israel Brief, it is up on the YouTube channel, which is at the Israel Brief. Yesterday I was in the south and I went to Tkuma. Tkuma means like to rise, to renew, to get up. And following the attacks of the 7th of October, if you go back to the footage, a lot of the cars from the kibbutzim, the cars from the Nova Festival, cars along that Road 232, which became a highway of carnage, all those cars were collected and brought to Tkuma for two reasons. First of all, to gather evidence that could help piece together the full picture of what happened that Saturday morning. And the other reason was because there were still human remains inside. And it took the army, along with Zaka, that is the organization responsible for the collection of the dead, it took them weeks to take industrial vacuum cleaners and vacuum through all of those cars to remove human ashes, so that those ashes could be buried. You know, in the Jewish religion, you have to bury a body as whole as possible, including blood, including other remains. And unfortunately, because of the way the cars were attacked with the use of accelerants, and because there was human remains on the metal, and you can't bury metal because it could also have poisons that drips down into our water table and poison our water. So the grisly task of removing all those human remains were given to the IDF and Zaka. But the cars now form a memorial. And yesterday I brought you the story of Ben Shimoni, the angel of Nova, who went back several times to rescue people and ultimately paid with his life. But along there is the story of the ambulance where 18 of the festival goers were hiding. Hamas fired an RPG on it, destroying and setting fire to the ambulance. There was also the other vehicles where you can see the bullet holes and the carnage that happened that day. It's all there, and you know, if you do go along to the if you do happen to go along to the car graveyard that it's called in Tkuma, just remember that every car has the story of a family or of people who were in it trying to seek shelter. So, Gabriella, I hope that answers your question, and a reminder to anyone who has any further questions, please to be in touch with me via our website, which you can find at www.layoftheland.online, our YouTube channel right here at the Israel Brief. We're on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, Substack at Rolene Marks, and Facebook at Lottle's site, Instagram at Rolene_Marks. And guys, that's it from me for today. So happy to be back in studio talking to you, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.